Hey, welcome. We are going to be talking about branding and naming your podcast today. So, I'm going to show you, I have a little presentation put together for y'all. All right. So, for the name and branding of your podcast, there's a few things that you're going to want to have in place or remember before you get started. So, the first thing is, hopefully my picture doesn't get in the way, naming your podcast. When you name your podcast, you need to focus on SEO, so search engine optimization. So basically, is your name easily searchable? Does it contain keywords that your audience is going to be searching for? Is it easy to remember? You want it to contain a keyword or two or three that when your audience is looking for the content that you're sharing, those are the words that they're going to be searching for. You want to make sure that it that your name is like catchy, but that it's not something that is super long or hard to remember or contains a lot of fluff words. It needs to be like really straightforward to the point so it's easy to remember. If you have a current business name, this can be a great place to start for naming your podcast. You know, if it's the same content, the same audience as your business, then you can really easily just use the name of your business plus podcast at the end. So if your business name was New Beginnings, it would be the New Beginnings podcast with insert your name here. So again, you want to focus on the name of your podcast being searchable and not catchy. Well, we want it to be easy to remember. Your name should be focused on who you are and what you do and how you solve your audience's problem. Next thing you need to do is make sure that the name that you're looking at hasn't already been claimed. You can do this by going to like all of the podcasting platforms, Stitcher, Apple, Google, and doing a quick search for that podcast name and seeing if anything comes up. There's also trademark sites where you can search and see if your name has already been trademarked. And if you don't want anybody to snag your name from you in the future, you can trademark the name of your podcast. That's really the only way to ensure that somebody else doesn't come out with a podcast that has the same name. And if somebody else gets a trademark on it, even after you've already established your podcast, they can then steal that name from you and say, hey, I have the trademark for this name. You need to rename yours. So trademarking your name can be a really good step to just ensure that you never have to deal with those issues in the future. Branding. So if you have branding for your business already, then use that branding. A lot of people like to add an accent color that's just for the podcast, and that can really help like differentiate it from your other branding materials and also just add something fun and mix it up because with your podcast like cover and graphics and stuff, you can add like a more fun, exciting color. If you don't have branding already, I have a lot of referrals for great brand strategists. So you can reach out to me, or what you can do is drag and drop one of your favorite pictures of yourself and pull the colors from there in Canva and just kind of use those colors and pick some fonts that you like and kind of piece together your own branding. You just want to make sure that you have a variety of colors and that things are going to work well together. And you can kind of figure that out by trying to like create some sample graphics, and that'll show you like if you have a good variety of colors or not. One of the most important parts of branding for your podcast is your photos, because your cover art photo is the first thing that people are going to see when they search for your podcast. And so it's really important that you are very conscious of the photo that you use and that it is on brand and that it matches the mood and the content of your podcast. I would recommend doing a brand photo shoot with a brand photographer. If you don't have the time or the funds for that, get your friend, your spouse, your teenage daughter, whoever with an iPhone and just go out on a walk and take some pictures. You want to wear clothes that are either really neutral or that match your branding and the mood of your podcast. Make sure that your full upper body is in the frame. So like waist up in the frame. Because if you have like an elbow out of scene or an arm or a hand out of scene, it can make it hard to use those pictures and position them within the cover art. You can always, remove part of a limb when you're doing it, but you can't add it back in. So just make sure that like your full upper body is in the frame. Do a combo of standing, sitting, and leaning. So there's some really cute cover art out there of people like sitting crisscross on the ground. And then you just like remove the background and put it on there. And it kind of looks like you're sitting on the floor of your cover art. And then it has the title over top of you. You can do like sitting at like a little bistro table, leaning against a wall, and do a few with a solid background. So like if you go, like I live in Louisville, like downtown, there's all kinds of like brick walls and stuff that are painted different colors. So you can go and just like stand with that, like a brick wall that's painted blue or white, or something that's going to match your branding, so that you have a solid background picture that will add some depth, but it's not going to be too busy when you go in to add the wording for your podcast title. And most importantly, show your personality. People are coming to this podcast for you. So you want to make sure that your personality and what you're going to be talking about comes through in those pictures. All right, so that concludes everything that we wanted to talk about. So some key points to remember: make sure that your name is searchable. Make sure it contains some keywords. Make sure it relates to your business and your mission. Focus on having a name that's searchable and easy to remember, and not just something that's catchy. Check to make sure that your name isn't already taken, and trademark your name if you want to avoid somebody taking it from you in the future. Use your existing branding if you have it. Add a fun accent color if you want to mix things up. And don't forget to take great photos. Thanks.